Hello and welcome to Nick's Maths, Week 4, Term 3, Lesson 15, the Distributive Law. The distributive law or property of multiplication states that when a number is multiplied by the sum of two numbers, the first number can be distributed to both of those numbers and multiplied by each of them separately. Then adding the two products together for the same result as multiplying the first number by the sum. Now, what that means is the distributive property allows us to break down double-digit multiplication problems into manageable chunks. The distributive law says that multiplying a number by a group of numbers added together is the same as doing each multiplication separately. An example would be 3 times 6, which you would break down into 3 times 2 plus 4, and that would equal 3 times 2 plus 3 times 4, and the answer would be 18. So you're breaking it into smaller chunks to manage your equation. So your learning intention today is we are learning to understand and apply the distributive property when doing multiplication. And you'll know you'll be able to do that when you can recognize and apply the distributive property when working with multiplication. You can see that breaking equations into smaller parts helps you solve a problem. And you can see that the rules that you've learnt when multiplying with tens applies to the distributive property. Likely difficulties. Getting our head around breaking a sum into smaller sums might be difficult. The number of steps might be uncommon for you. If we're unfamiliar with the rule of tens when dealing with multiplication, then this might be an impasse or something difficult to do. And the consolidation of our basic facts in regards to our times tables is something that we need to still have our head around. And if we're not really good at our basic times tables, it might be difficult to do the sums. So the equipment you'll need today: a pencil, a rubber, a ruler, sheets of paper, texters, or coloured pencils. Maths language: distributive, breaking into smaller pieces and sharing equally. Multiplicative, connects multiplication and division. Multiplication, the process or skill of multiplying. Division, splitting a quantity into smaller groups. Inverse, the opposite or reverse of something. Multiple, a number that can be divided exactly by another number. So, the instructions. Watch the attached video. You can do this in your book or you can do it in class. Have a go before class to grasp the concept. Using the distributive law, have a go at the following sums. I'm going to show you an example to start. The distributive law in multiplication. So I have the sum 3 times 7 plus 8. So that would be 3 times 15. But in order to help me, I've broken it into smaller chunks. So it becomes 3 times 7, which is 21, and 3 times 8, which is 24. And then the product of both those sums I add together. 21 plus 24 is 45. So my sum is 3 times 7 plus 8 equals 45. So the sum, which would have looked like 3 times 15, which is a little hard to do, I broke down into 3 times 7 and 3 times 8. But I still got the same answer. 3 times 7 plus 8 equals 45. All right? So there are 10 sums you can do and examples of how to do them. Questions that you can ask yourself. Do you understand what the distributive property is? Explain. What was the best way for you to understand this concept? Tell me about it. Can you write your sums using the distributive law? How do you know this way works? What were some of the difficulties that you faced as a mathematician? So, once you've done all that, upload your photos or your work to Compass. If you have any difficulty, write a response or upload your JPEGs as a Word document. Remember, you can always go over this in class. Each of these lessons is in class. So this is Wednesday's lesson. So I'll be doing it in class to go through it there. All the best. Take care. Regards. Goodbye. Keep mathemating.